Welcome to Arnie's Class Podcast. I'm Arnie Aniel. I'm an HR development consultant, an international public speaker, a workshop facilitator, a coach, and an educator. Life is a great opportunity, and we all learn life lessons every day. This podcast is all about those lessons. Lessons like gratitude, confidence, happiness, mindset, and a lot more. Learning without action is information. Learning with action is transformation. Join me, learn, and transform yourself into a better you. In this episode, we're going to talk about fitness with my special guest, who is very experienced when it comes to fitness. Fitness can be considered in different ways by different people because fitness can mean different things to different people. Some people, they think they are fit for as long as they can keep their weight. Others, they think that for as long as they have enough flexibility, they think they are physically fit. And during this pandemic, it's even more challenging for us to keep ourselves healthy, fit, because there are no gyms or fitness centers to go to. Especially for some people, they simply can't do those exercises at home. They always want to have other people to really encourage them to exercise. So they go to fitness centers and gyms. And since we stay at home, how do you really keep yourself healthy and fit during this time? Normally, I hear people counting their calories every time they eat, and they don't even enjoy eating anymore because they just keep on counting calories. I don't understand whether it's really the calories that we should be aware of or conscious of in order to keep ourselves healthy and fit. As we always say, healthy mind means healthy body, or healthy body means healthy mind. I believe that keeping our bodies healthy is just as important in keeping our minds healthy. I don't think that you will see a person who is physically healthy but mentally unhealthy, or the other way around. Mentally healthy but physically unhealthy. I don't think that it's possible. There are many components to consider in order for us to be fit and healthy. And I believe it's more of inside out than outside in. What's happening inside our body is more important than what's outside of our body. And even if we're at home, there are many things that we can do. Simple exercises. Sometimes it will just take us about like 5 minutes or 6 minutes or even 10 minutes of our 24-hour daily life. And of course, you have to be very conscious of what you eat. And most of all, I always say it's a matter of discipline. I'm sure we're going to learn about fitness and health from my special guest. So life mates and listeners, listen and learn. Welcome once again, and my special guest today is a fitness trainer for 25 or more than 25 years. Yeah. And he is an author of 2 books, with 1 book has a rating of 5-star on Amazon. He owns and operates Flash Fitness Results with his wife Rita in Bangkok, Thailand. And my guest has a program that really help thousands of people improve their health. And his clients include doctors, diplomats, lawyers, and executives around the world. So listen, enjoy. Please welcome Jeff Andora.
Thank you very much, Arnie. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much for saying yes to this, Jeff. I'm really excited.
It's a pleasure. Definitely a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. Of course, with your experience, I'm going to ask a lot about fitness. So let's start, okay. Jeff. Right. Jeff, how do you define the word fitness?
How would I define the word fitness? That's a pretty... It's going to be different maybe from person to person. Overall, I incorporate health into fitness. I think a lot of people view fitness as, do you have abs? Like how many Instagram photos do you have of yourself and things like that? No, for me and for the majority of my clients, fitness is your ability to stay in good health, do the things that you want to do, including things like longevity and just overall health. I mean, I'm talking metabolic health, muscular health. Yeah, just your ability to do what it is you want to do. It's fitness is a very vague term, which does incorporate a lot of different components to it. So you might ask one person, and they might think it's I want to be flexible, and then I'm fit. And other people, it's they think they're fit if they can lift a 200-pound dumbbell over their head. Or,
That's right.
so it's going to be different for different people. But for the majority of my clients, you want to gear your training around their ideas of what fitness are, what their goals within that realm is. So it's going to mean something a little different to everybody.
So fitness, it depends on how the people or the person define fitness for them. Is that right?
It really does. It really does. I mean, fitness incorporates a lot of different things, so it is having a good degree of flexibility important? Yes. Is having a good degree of strength important? Yes. Metabolic health, could that be incorporated into the fitness world? Of course. Weightlifting, your cardiovascular health, everything from like your VO2 max, your circulatory system, and you can even kind of broaden that scope a little bit and include things like mental health and depression.
I see.
There's a lot that kind of goes into that, all the way down to your blood work, and what your cholesterol levels and triglyceride levels and HbA1c are showing. So yeah, to me, it's a very vague term because I work with so many different clients that have different goals, and it's about what does it mean to each person, and improving that.
You mentioned about, of course, you have your more than 25 years of experience in fitness, and then you have clients around the world. What is the most common problem, Jeff, among your clients, or the ones that you've met in your experience?
Yeah. Right now, I mean, that's simple. It's metabolic health. And I'm talking about people want to lose weight. There's just a large percentage of the population now is overweight or obese. A lot of people are type 2 diabetic or borderline type 2 diabetic, called pre-diabetic. So I would say, I'm guessing 8 or 9 out of 10, it really is that high. Maybe 8 or 9 out of 10 of my clients right now are dealing with metabolic related issues like that. That's by far the most.
Can you define or explain more about metabolic? What do you mean by that?
Okay, well, in broad terms, metabolic syndrome type issues, obesity, hypertension, diabetes, fatty liver disease, just that broad range of metabolic syndrome. So it's a lot about that, but I would say like the key one that most people are focused on, most people when they go looking for a trainer, it's like, gosh, I need to lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever that is, and so that's probably the one that sticks out the most. And we do a lot of work with diabetics at the hospitals out here and things like that. But as far as the people that come into my office, I mean, they tend to be people that want to lose weight, so that would be the number one problem is people just keep getting bigger and bigger, and they have a hard time losing weight. And when they do lose weight, it's not permanent, so I would say that's the biggest problem out there right now.
If losing weight is the number one problem out there, Jeff, how long does it take? Just in general or average, how long does it take for a person to lose weight?
Well, let's reterm it a little bit. Let's say lose fat, okay? Because losing weight is actually part of the problem. A lot of people, they'll go to these weight loss centers, they'll go and lose weight, okay? But if you lose weight improperly, I mean, up to 40% of that weight lost will not come from fat. It can come from muscle tissue, okay? So, well, that's not what we want. If your mitochondria, where you burn food, where you burn fuel, where you burn calories is inside of your muscle tissue, every time you lose weight, you're making it harder on yourself, okay? And your body's viewing that as, oh man, I'm at that point where I don't have enough and I'm going to start eating my own tissues. Okay. Well, when we do that, it seems great at the time, but as we start to lose weight, your body has its own protective mechanisms that it puts into practice. Hunger hormones go up. Okay. Your basal metabolic rate goes down. Okay. So your body actually takes its metabolism, brings it this way. It takes its hunger, brings it up this way. And your body actually increases the number of receptor sites on certain fat cells that makes it easier to store fat later. So you're basically, by losing weight, creating a war with nature that's really hard for most people to win. You're not going to win it in the long run. Very few people do. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
so I'd like to reterm it into losing fat. That's the only acceptable thing you should be losing when you're trying to lose weight, if you want it to be a long-term endeavor. Okay,
So it's proper to say losing fat than losing weight.
yes, I prefer for people to say that. Yeah. So,
How long does it normally take, Jeff, to, like, just
you
an
know,
average, as I said?
yeah, that's always hard to say because it depends. We uh, we like to call them current settings. It depends on their current settings. If you have a 25-year-old guy's been an athlete his whole life, he's metabolically healthy, uh, and when he eats food, maybe half of it's being stored as fat, half of it's been stored up as glycogen. It's going to be easier for him, higher growth hormone levels than, let's say, Mrs. Jones, who's 60 years old, who eats the same food, but 90% of that ends up getting stored as fat. 10% goes into muscle glycogen. They're not producing the same amount of lipolytic fat burning hormones like growth hormone. It's going to take this, and especially if Mrs. Jones has been doing a lot of dieting up and down over time, it's going to take her longer than the 25-year-old former athlete, right? So because their bodies are in completely different current settings. So it's hard to give a round average for everybody. Sometimes it really is just about fixing the inside first. It's like, okay, if we want to lose weight first, we work from the inside out. We don't just, okay, it's not just, hey, jump on the scale every day and let's see what we got. We need to get
Which is pretty
people.
normal with a lot of people. They just go on
That's
the
what
weight.
most people are
They
doing.
just weigh every day, and look at that.
Exactly. Whereas really what we need to do is start getting those cells and endocrine system to start functioning properly again. And then it starts to snowball after that. Like, so for example, I just had maybe a couple of years ago, I think it was husband and wife that came in. Okay. So they both wanted to lose fat. They were both overweight. That first month, the guy, okay, I don't remember how much over 10 pounds. I mean, he melted away right before your very eyes that he melted down. His wife actually gained a pound. She was losing some inches slowly, but she actually gained a little bit of weight. Now, she had a history of dieting up and down, low calories. She tried everything. Okay, but every time she does that, she's losing muscle tissue. So when she starts a weight training program, her body's like, oh, thank you. Okay, and she's putting back on that muscle. All right, so you can step on the scale and it'll say, in her case, she gained a little bit, but it's not telling you what's fat or what's muscle. So her clothes start fitting better. Okay, but she was really frustrated because on the scale, you had a net positive,
No change.
So, well, on the scale, but again,
Yes.
the scale is only telling you how hard the earth's pulling you into the ground. It doesn't tell you what's water, what's fat, what's muscle, what's intestines, what's, what you ate for breakfast, so that first month was really frustrating for her because Ed was just dropping all this fat so quickly and weight so quickly even, whereas Christine did not, and actually went the opposite. But she was working on the inside, okay, getting her body to start functioning more properly. They both started with completely different current settings. And then after that first month, now that we've built the machinery to burn fat back with her again, then she was able to start burning fat at a high pace. So she ended up losing, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 pounds.
Wow.
So but that in the beginning, so that's why I say, like, how long does it normally take? Well, what is the person's starting point? Where are we? What needs to be done? So how long it takes can differ greatly from person to person, so but the most important thing is are we doing it right? And are we doing it in a way that's going to be sustainable for a long period of time? Because you can take anybody and you can, all right, I can get anybody to lose, 15 pounds in that first month, but is it sustainable? Absolutely not, so on some people, depending on a host of other factors, but
with your experience, Jeff, what's the longest and what's the shortest with your clients? Like, for example, do you have experience it with a client that, like, within 2 months we saw the results, but the other one, it took us years?
Oh yeah, I mean, you can come into any class that we're teaching and we have people on both ends of that spectrum, so for example, we had this one guy. He's a promoter, okay, and he had a trip he had to go to New York, and he was going to be in a parade, and he had to be in the parade without a shirt on, and it was, oh no, I don't have a lot of time, I need to get in shape as quick as I can to get over there. Well, with him, he was coming in 6 days a week. He was doing his homework. His nutrition was absolutely spot on. And we got him ready in 6 weeks to get down there and get himself abs. And it just happened like that.
Wow.
Now for other people who are not maybe willing to change everything about their lives, we might just go with 1 or 2 habits at a time. Like, okay, let's just start by changing your breakfast. Don't worry about everything else. We're going to take the long-term approach. We'll change your breakfast and we'll go from there. Maybe a few weeks goes by. Okay, let's add these supplements, like maybe some vitamin D and some fish oil and some magnesium. And usually we'll start off with that as well, because it's so easy to do. But just as an example, so we might add those habits down the road. And then we might go into, the second or third month of their program and add in another habit. Okay, this time here, what we're going to do is I want you to replace half of your rice with 1 fried egg. Okay, we'll do that. And that gets the results going. Now, it's a much longer process, but being that you're just changing one habit at a time in small, manageable bites for that particular person who's maybe had those same habits for the last 2 decades, 3 decades, that's going to be a better approach for that person, despite it taking longer to get there. So I kind of try to get people away from how long, unless it's, somebody who needs it, right? Another one, we had an actor who, he had to go up on stage and he had to dance, and, he had to look cut and fit, and it was like, with him, then it's like, okay, we're changing breakfast, we're changing dinner, we're changing your supplements, we're changing, it's changing everything. And so again, so much of it's really individually,
from person to person,
on the individual. Yeah.
You mentioned about inside out, Jeff. Mm-hmm. Can you explain further about that when we say inside out?
Without trying to get too sciencey and sounding too nerdy with it, when I say inside out, there's several things we're actually trying to do. How can I put it? Okay, let's take 2 people. Okay, let's call Bob and we have John. All
yes.
Right. So now let's say John eats a 300-calorie bowl of noodles. Okay. When he eats it, he stores it as muscle glycogen. Okay. The other person who's on this side, Bob, John, who did I say? Okay. The guy on this side, person B. Okay. Person B eats the same 300-calorie bowl of noodles, but he stores it as body fat. All right. Now, it might not seem like a whole lot with that one meal, but 6 months goes by. If John is storing food as body fat each time, and Bob is storing more food every time as muscle glycogen, time's going to go by, and they're going to have very, very different physiques. So it's not the external that's causing that problem, right? Now, what's the difference between the two? It's insulin sensitivity could be part of it. It could be their ability to carry glycogen, to hold glycogen inside their muscles. Okay, so the average person will carry about 350 grams of glycogen inside their muscles. But when you train correctly, you can increase that. Like a professional sprinter can oftentimes have up to about 900 grams. So if you train yourself to hold body or hold muscle glycogen rather than body fat, you're actually changing yourself from the inside out. You're changing how your body functions. Okay. So, and then, so you're partitioning the nutrients that you're eating differently. And that's just a big, big part of it, And then from the inside out, let's say anytime insulin goes up, it blunts your ability to release fat from fat cells, okay, and blunts your ability to carry those released fats from fat cells to the muscle cells where they're going to get into the cell where they can be burned. Okay, insulin shuts that whole process down. Now, if let's take Bob and John again, they both have a banana. Well, if one person eats a banana and he spikes insulin this much, okay, well, it's going to take a long time for that insulin to maybe come down where he can actually start breaking down and using fats as his fuel again. Okay.
I see.
Whereas the other person can have that same banana. He might get a tiny little spike in insulin because he's a lot more insulin sensitive. Okay. And tiny little spike, his body, uses all the nutrients out of it. Insulin's back down within no time, and he can continue burning and using fat for fuel. So when I say working from the inside out, these are the types of issues that, just using proper training, proper nutrition, proper supplementation, you can fix these issues on the inside, and then you'll start seeing a difference on the outside as a result of it. But, it's about becoming more insulin sensitive. It's about teaching your body to store food as glycogen, not as body fat. And yeah, that's kind of the basics of it. Yeah.
Jeff, every time we talk about lose weight, people will always, it's either they skip meals or the others, they will eat less. So
Correct.
How would you explain this? Because I know, like skipping meals, I don't think it really works. I think this one you get sick instead of you losing weight. But I'm not sure, like, of course, when you eat less, I'm not sure what's the effect of that. I'm not the expert here.
Okay.
So if I will ask you which one really works here, or what, maybe is there another one that you can recommend?
Okay, now there's a lot of it depends that goes along with let's take those one at a time. Because there's the intermittent fasting style, you skip your meals. There's the eat less, okay, and then there's other ways of doing things, okay. So we kind of have three different things that we can kind of delve into a little bit. Let's start with the skipping meals, okay. Now, one of the things people are talking about everywhere. I mean, you can't turn on the internet without seeing people raving about how well intermittent fastings work for them. And like you said, you've seen people that have done it and they seem to actually get sick when they're doing it, that they're not thriving on it. They might be losing weight on it, but they're not necessarily thriving. And part of the it depends that goes along with this is it depends, again, on your current settings, and it depends on how you're doing it. So for a lot of people, here's an example. For a lot of people, let's say you're eating Cocoa Krispies every morning. Okay, that's your breakfast. Okay, or even if you're eating a very high glycemic rice, let's say like a joke, or like a rice
fried rice.
Yeah, so something that's spiking insulin right from the get-go. You wake up in the morning, your metabolism's going, all right, what's my environment giving me today? Am I burning fat for my fuel, or am I burning glucose for my fuel? And the first thing you do is Krispy Kremes or Cocoa Krispies or joke. All right, well, for that person, they start intermittent fasting, they're going to see amazing results. Now, is it because they're skipping meals, or is it because they're eliminating something that was causing problems to them? Correct. So it's whereas, let's say we take a very low glycemic food like eggs, okay, so which doesn't very, very minimally spikes insulin. Let's say you wake up in the morning and you have 2 eggs cooked in butter, okay, with some spinach on it, and maybe a few diced tomatoes. Okay, you're not going to have an insulin spike. It's just that's all you're going to get.
A little bit,
just a little bit. So you're achieving the same. Mostly, there's going to be. There's a lot of roads you could take right here. There's going to be some other people that would argue certain things, which you'd also have to start looking at that individually as well. But for the most part, you're eliminating that insulin spike. You're eliminating that starting off your day by filling up your glycogen stores and putting you into a glucose metabolic pathway. So you can still get great results by eating breakfast, but just changing exactly what it is that you're eating. Okay, so when it comes to the intermittent fasting, now when you say like people sometimes will look unhealthy when they do it, if people are going to do the intermittent fasting route, we do have clients that do intermittent fasting, and but we just make sure that they're doing it right. When they're doing it right, what I mean by that is most people are already nutritionally, and this will also be a little segue into part two, talking about eating less. But
Yes.
as it is right now, most people are deficient in nutrients. Okay, in many different nutrients. So if you're deficient in nutrients, okay, our metabolic rate comes down and our hunger hormones go up again, because your body doesn't care about calories. Your body cares about survival and building tissues and having uh, the raw materials it needs to keep you alive and functioning every day. Okay, so when we have deficiencies in nutrients, okay, we are going to get sick. We are going to be not thriving. Okay, so now does skipping meals fix that? No, so when we do intermittent fasting, it becomes even more important that when we do have our meals, that you are eating nutrient dense foods that are going to satisfy your body's nutritional needs.
Thank
Now,
you so much.
no. Now, part two, when we talk about eat less.
Yes.
Okay. Now, again, this is, we it goes in different directions right here. Yeah. If we want to lose weight, I mean, it doesn't take a scientist to understand that, hey, we need to eat less, so we all know that if you want to lose weight, you have to eat less.
Eat less, correct.
You go to a doctor like, oh man, I'm 40 pounds overweight, and your doctor saying, oh, you're going to die early unless you start eating less. You need to start eating less and moving more. That's what they tell everybody.
Yes.
But they don't tell you how to do that. Okay, so when we eat less, it's kind of like the intermittent fasting in terms of if we're nutritionally deficient and then we start eating less, we become more nutritionally deficient. Okay. Secondly, again, those hunger hormones go up, our metabolic rate goes down. Okay, our fat cells start becoming hypersensitive and try to get ready for that next famine, and that's how it views it. That's how it behaves, like you're going through a famine. So your fat cells are going to get more efficient at holding body fat next time around. Okay, now, so if we want to tell somebody eat less, but we know that we need nutrition to avoid the negative consequences of eating less, which will lead to rebound or yo-yo up and down dieting, for life, which we want to avoid. Well, we need to start looking at what makes us hungry, what makes us not hungry. Okay, that's probably the first one.
Oh,
now,
interesting.
Yeah, well, look at it like this. If we went to, what time is it right now? I don't know. Let's say it's 2:00. Right?
Yes.
And we go to Starbucks and we have a Frappuccino and a muffin. All right. People do
You're
that.
making me hungry, Jeff, and the other listener.
Right. You can easily do that, though. You can have, it's going to be, I would say 1,000 calories, but it's a little bit less, but it's in the neighborhood of 1,000 calories. Right. You can have that about 2:00. You'll go back to work. You'll finish up your work. You'll do, you'll go about your daily activities. You're going to go home. You get home, 7:00 comes around. You're going to have dinner. I mean, a million people do this every day. They'll go have, something like that at Starbucks and then
dinner again.
Have their dinner at night. Okay.
Yes.
Now, what if we change what you're eating? Okay. How about instead of a muffin and a Frappuccino, we decide to have something that's very, very nutrient dense. Okay, eggs, for example, which we've already talked about a little bit, are very nutrient dense. Now, what if you said, okay, I'm gonna have the equivalent in calories of eggs? Okay, well, 1,000 calories of eggs is 14.7 large eggs. So we're looking at 15 large eggs. So I hard-boiled 15 large eggs, and I had this bowl of eggs, and I brought them over to you, and I said, okay, this is what I want you to do. Okay. You have to eat all 15 eggs. It's only 1,000 calories. Like first of all, you can't do it. Yeah, unless maybe I was right there with a gun to your head. So eat all the eggs.
Yeah.
It's really hard to eat nutritionally dense foods. Secondly, if you do finish all 15 eggs, you're going to go home after work and, be like, okay, somebody asks you, what do you want to go have for dinner? I ate 15 eggs. I'm not having anything for dinner. I am stuffed. Okay, so what you eat ultimately determines how much you eat. And this has actually been studied with eggs and with bagels, with two different types of cheese sandwiches, one that was processed, one that wasn't, so you have different nutrient densities in it. And they find over and over and over again, when you eat the nutritionally dense foods, you will end up eating less for the next 24 to 36 hours. When you eat foods that are less nutritionally dense, you will eat more over the next 36 hours. So when we look at it from that point of view, you really want to make sure that you are spending the most of your time when you're making decisions about what foods that you're going to eat. If our goal is to eat less and conquer our nutritional deficiencies, making sure that the foods that you do eat are nutritionally satisfying.
I see. And
And
what's the third way, Jeff? You said
okay.
Skip meals. Some skip meals. The others eat less. What's the third way?
Okay. Now the third way, what I would suggest is kind of what we just talked about. It's getting rid of the I hate saying getting rid of, because that just scares people off, but limiting, setting them for certain days where you can have your processed foods and your comfort foods and things like that, but spending most of your time trying to fill that up with real food from the land. Okay, so not packaged, not boxed, not processed. The less of that you can get in, and the more real, nutritionally satisfying foods that you can get, the better off you're going to be. If you want to do intermittent fasting, go for it. But just make sure that when you eat, you're satisfying your body's nutritional demands. Okay, so if you want to eat less, fine also, but make sure that you're not eating less too much. Okay, again, we need to protect our metabolism. We need to keep ourselves from getting super hungry. And the foods that you do eat, make sure that it's still providing you all the nutrition your body needs. That's what your body's looking at. Am I getting my nutrition? Yes. Hunger goes down, metabolism stays up nice and high. Okay, no.
There you go.
Hunger goes up, metabolism starts to drop. And it really comes down. It's as simple as that. But it's becoming harder and harder to do in this day and age, where everything is cooked in vegetable oil. Everything seems to have sugar smashed over the top of it. It is getting tougher and tougher, and it does take now a conscious effort to do it. So,
okay. Jeff, another thing that I always hear with people is, like, for example, if they're dieting or they want to lose weight, is calories. They're always thinking about calories. I don't know. I don't understand why people are very conscious of counting calories, and some of them, they're still the same. Even if they're counting their calories, and they go crazy, they go nuts.
Yes. Well, we don't count calories with our clients. I try, again, if you're eating the right foods, you don't need to count calories. Again, if you're eating the right foods, you will automatically eat less. We're the only species on this planet that counts calories. A lion doesn't, make a kill and start eating them. I'm way past my I need to cut back. Okay. Why? Because it's actually eating lion food. When a lion eats lion food, it doesn't need to count calories. It doesn't get diabetes and obesity and things like that. The only other animals that get diabetes and obesity are the ones living with us. It's pets. Because again, they're eating foods that are nutritionally deficient, ultra processed, put in boxes and put up on shelves, So when it comes to calories, let me put it like this. Draw a picture of a calorie for me.
Oh, wow. All I can think of is number.
Okay, all right. Because a calorie in itself doesn't exist. Okay, it's like a liter. Okay, a liter doesn't exist. I can have a liter of water, I can have a liter of Coca-Cola, I can have a liter of milk, but without something to be measured, the liter doesn't exist. A calorie is a unit of measurement. It measures heat, it measures energy. Okay, so our body does not know what a calorie is. We have no compartment in our body says, this is where I hold my calories. Okay, we have nutrition, which is broken up into So our body burns substrates. Okay. We can burn carbohydrates, glucose. We can burn fat, fatty acids. We can burn protein if we need to. We don't want to most of the time, but we can, amino acids. Okay. And we can burn ketones, okay, which your body's going to make itself when it's in a low carbohydrate, low glucose state. Okay. And it'll make them out of fats, and they can make it out of proteins as well. So what goes into the mitochondria, where we burn calories, okay, our mitochondria they're not taking up calories, okay, they're taking up substrates. And they use those substrates to produce ATP. I don't know if you remember the Krebs cycle and all that type of stuff, like in biology.
How I wish.
Okay, don't want to bring up all that, that high school biology stuff, but yeah, when we make energy, we're making ATP, right? So we're using these substrates to do it. And when we burn those substrates, it creates heat. Now, if you want to measure how much heat is being created, you can use calories in order to measure it. But in and of itself, a calorie doesn't matter. So the obsession with counting calories is, I still don't understand. It's weird. We should be a lot more obsessed with eating the right foods than we are counting calories, because the fate of a calorie inside your body can differ widely. They all have a different, I say they, but I'm not talking about calories. I'm talking about types of foods. Okay. Each type of food will have a different metabolic effect, a different hormonal effect, a different physiological effect on your body very, very differently. Think of your body more as a chemistry set than a adding, subtracting machine of calories, because it really is a lot more complicated than, a balanced thing. So it's, there's a lot of things involved. Yeah.
So Jeff, if you're going to give 3 things, especially now that we're in a lockdown, no fitness center, of course, the others are doing it online. But if you can suggest or give advice, 3 things that people can do at home to keep themselves fit. I know it's different from one person to another, but any general idea that you can give to people, like 3 ideas.
First things first, I would say train your legs. Okay, when you train your legs, that's where the most glycogen is stored. That's where the biggest bang for your buck comes from. So don't worry about, oh man, I'm missing my workouts. Keep it short, keep it simple. Train your legs. Okay, so you know what? There's this great protocol from Azusa Pacific University in Northern California. And what they did is they did this research. The workout itself is 6 minutes long, and it's mostly training legs.
6 minutes.
6 minutes. That's all it is. There's body weight squats. I'll send it to you, and anybody who wants it, they can get it from you somehow. You put it up.
Thanks. Thank you in advance, Jeff. Yes, I'll share it to everyone.
What the researchers there showed is that just by doing this 6 minutes of mostly leg workout with no equipment, it's just done with body weight, that the metabolism was raised for the next 36 hours. And it was, I forget the exact number, it was over 400 calories.
Wow.
So 36 hours, for the next 36 hours, your body was burning an extra, I want to say it was actually closer to 500 calories. Yeah, I'll give that to you as well, so you can kind of find that. And that's one thing. Okay, that's great. Okay, your metabolism's raised 400, 500 calories just from that 6 minute workout. That's already a great bang for your buck. But then the researchers also measured something else. They measured what's called a respiratory exchange ratio. What they wanted to find was, after you finish your workout, okay, what did they burn for those extra calories? Because you could burn calories, but it doesn't mean you're burning fat, right? You could burn glucose. We just talked about it. You burn glucose, you can burn fat. So when they do the respiratory exchange ratio, they can see, okay, are we burning fat or are we burning glucose? Okay. And it shifted their metabolism into more of a fat burning metabolism. So 6 minutes, training your legs, depleting your glycogen, creating lots of growth hormone and that lactic acid. The more lactic acid you create, the more growth hormone your body creates as a response. Growth hormone then, as a lipolytic hormone, gets your fat to start releasing fat into your cells. Now your empty muscle cells are like, hey, we need help over here. So your body sends all that fatty acids to those muscle cells, where you're basically transferring fat from your fat cells into your muscle cells so they can be used later. Okay.
Wow, nice. 6
So even,
minutes.
yeah, so if you just do that 6 minutes every other day and just kind of think of it as like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spend the next 6 minutes taking some of the energy out of my fat cells and redepositing it over here into my muscle cells. Okay, that's already something that will help get you through a period like this. I mean, does it take the place of a proper training program, you know, done consistently over a long period of time with more equipment? I wouldn't call it a replacement, but it will get you from point A to point B. It's important, you know.
Nice.
So
And 6 minutes. We have
6 minutes.
24 hours a day.
I mean, you know, so I love using it with clients, like when they're on vacations, and you know, actually right now, you know, so many of them are doing it because they know they can't come up with excuses why they couldn't come up with a 6 minute workout. You know, so I was really busy. It's like, all right, let me see your phone. I just want to see the number of hours you spent on your phone. We'll see if you could have squeezed in. You know. Meanwhile, after they tell me about, like, oh man, did you see that new Netflix series? Yeah, I watched all 4 seasons in 2 days.
And you can't do 6 minutes. Okay. Okay.
You know,
So that's the first one.
So
Steve.
let's call that number 1.
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, I'm going to say change your breakfast. Eat eggs. Okay. Eggs are the human being traditional breakfast. Okay. Our ancestors, I mean, think about it. What if we were living in the past? Would you want to get up first thing in the morning and go hunt a mammoth for food? No. It's always been easy to get some eggs, and you could just keep them right there.
How many eggs in a day, Jeff? Sorry.
You know, it depends on kind of everything, you know, so, but in the beginning, I would say just start with 2 or 3 eggs until you're full. Fill yourself up in the morning with eggs. Cook it in butter, not the vegetable oil. Put some vegetables in it. If you want to put some meat in it, that's fine as well. Okay, but don't eat carbohydrates first thing in the morning. Okay, our body is always adapting to the environment. That's what it's evolved to do. That's its job. Okay, so you know, we've lived through at least 2 ice ages. Okay, well, nobody was making kale smoothies during the last ice age. Okay, that kind of stuff didn't exist. You weren't eating a lot of fruits. You know, weren't eating a ton of vegetables. Okay, and it's not even just the ice ages, but we are just like everything else on this planet. We're seasonal. You know, we were meant to eat certain foods during one season. We started eating other foods during another season, and that's how our cycle goes. Okay. Now, the one thing that's remained constant, okay, is eggs. Still to this day, if you go to a hotel and you ask for a traditional breakfast, what do they give you? Eggs. It's traditional. You know, it depends where you are. If you're in Italy, you know, you're eating a frittata made out of eggs. If you're in, you know, Germany, you got your eggs and you got your sausage. If you, it's eggs everywhere. But if you don't, just served with a little something different. But eggs are the human breakfast. Now, so when our body's adapting to our environment, where I was kind of getting at with that is when we sleep at night. Okay, your insulin levels drop, growth hormone levels skyrocket. Okay, again, and that what that does is it starts getting your body to use body fat as its fuel while you're sleeping. We're not burning a lot of calories. I mean, we're at rest, but we're using fat as our primary source of fuel during that time period. Okay, now when we wake up, okay, cortisol levels start to rise in the morning. Now you got that cortisol and growth hormone, like double whammy combo on your fat. Your body's using fat as its primary fuel when you wake up in the morning. Now, if the first thing we do is shove our face with carbohydrates, okay, our body's saying, all right, this is what my environment's giving me today. I could save the fat for later. I don't need to use that. This is going to be my source of fuel for the day. Okay, there's lots of berries, lots of honey, lots of, you know, so your body starts adjusting its hormonal system and enzymes towards burning glucose and glycogen as its primary source of fuel. Okay, fat will save for a day when we really, really need it. That's what fat's for, you know. So if what we can do is, let's say you change your breakfast in the morning and you keep that insulin really low, and our body is in that fat burning metabolism all the way up until, let's say, noon when you have breakfast. And let's say you eat, you know, a rice or a sandwich or something, then the insulin goes up and your body switches over to glucose. That's fine, because if you ate dinner at 8, and then we have our overnight fast, that gives us like a reset on your hormones, okay? And then we have lunch at 12 o'clock the next day. We're looking at 16 hours straight of uh, lowered insulin levels and allowing ourselves to tap into those body fat stores instead of just first thing in the morning, jumping right out of it and go right back into that glucose burning state. So I would say that's number two. Change your breakfast, make it a low carb, high fat, high protein breakfast, and get your body insulin sensitive like that again. So we've got one, the Azusa Pacific
6 minutes.
protocol, 6-minute workout. Okay. Number two, change your breakfast. Number three, try to find ways to just be somewhat active. Don't do the 4-hour binge on Netflix. So
Okay.
so it's if you can take a walk outside for a little bit, or just clean the house, do something to keep moving a little bit. Okay, some trainers will call it NEAT, which is the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's just how many calories you burn in a day, how much energy are you burning a day, just in life, just other things outside of exercise, and we are there. It's hard to do during this time. I mean, admittedly so, but and I guess it also kind of depends where you live and how big your apartment is and things like that. All that kind of stuff matters. But if you can find some way just not to be a bump on a log all day long,
do something. Move.
So, yes. So I would say those three, just use that protocol, change your breakfast, and make a conscious effort to just do some moving. It doesn't even have to be for long. You just, all right, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to walk for 10 minutes in that direction. Beep, beep, beep. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to walk in it, so whoop, there's me again. Accidentally kicked the tripod there. So,
okay, see, very simple. 3 steps. Jeff, nowadays we're on a lockdown. People are just at home. So you already shared with us those 3 tips. What do you think is, because once we're open again, people will go to the gym. I'm sure one of the places that people will go, the gyms, fitness centers. What do you think is the myth about fitness centers? Because I've been to different fitness centers and normally they will just offer you this kind of exercises. Most of the questions are like, come on, why don't you ask me some other questions? Because they always just like, yeah, we make like this one big, especially the belly, they always talk about it. So what do you think is, what is it really about the fitness that you think like, yes, this is the place. Oh yes, this is the program for me?
Well, first and foremost is results, is going to that place, getting you what you join the place for. You know what I mean? Most people don't just join a gym because like, I just got some money, I don't know what to do with it, I hate it, I just want to pay somebody. Like nobody does that. When you join a gym, you're joining for a purpose. I want to lose this, I need to get healthier, my blood work wasn't so good according to my doctor, so know what your goal is. When you go in there, are they helping you do that? If 3 months goes by, 4 months goes by, 6 months, 2 years go by, and you have not accomplished anything, I've got some news for you. That's not the right place. And the truth is, most gyms, they're similar to a kitchen. It's kind of like you go in there, there's space and there's tools and, all this equipment. But what if you're not a chef? What if you don't actually know what you're doing?
Correct.
Okay, so
yes.
You just walk in there and it's like, okay, if I just walk into like a Mexican restaurant and be like, all right, I'm going to have some Mexican food. All right, there's a mixer. There's some bowls. Got some flour over here. All right, come on, so most gyms are basically the equivalent. It's like, here's a room, have at it. Well, it's like, well, where's the guidance there? Like, help me do what it is that I want to do. So when it comes to gyms, you can have 10 different gyms and you have 10 completely different business models, philosophies, sending their trainers to different certification things.
Totally agree.
It's hard to glump all gyms into the same category because they're all different. But the bottom line is, are you producing for your clients and your members? Yeah, are you producing? Period.
Okay.
Are you producing for the people that are there? Are they attaining what it is that they hope to attain? If they're not, you're failing, and you're going to lose those clients, I think. Yeah. So, did I answer the question?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Jeff, you've been
Okay.
into fitness for more than 25 years with experiences, and your program's been used in the hospital, like Chulalongkorn Hospital, for people with diabetes.
Uh-huh.
Concerning health, what do you think is the greatest lesson you've learned that you can share to everyone? Or maybe something like a lesson that can be applied into all aspects of life.
Okay, that's a good question. May require a little thought right there. Let's take a look. A lesson that I think probably sticks out is, before you dive into anything fitness related, just ideology, your political ideologies, whatever it is, before you do anything, learn, keep learning, and practice critical thinking. There's free courses online on how to practice critical thinking. There's textbooks you can buy. There's books you can buy. But it's amazing to me how few people have ever consciously set out to learn one of the techniques that could change their life the most. So when you learn critical, especially in this day and age when I think it's more important than ever, you got this guy over here saying, "Hey, it's cloudy outside," and this guy over here comes over like, "No, no, 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 it's sunny outside." And this person over here, "No, man, it's raining outside and it's going to snow." Well, if you can't learn how to find answers for yourself, you're in a lot of trouble. Okay, so now when it comes to like the fitness side of things, hey, should you do intermittent fasting? Hey, should you do keto? No, you should eat 6 times a day. Eggs are bad for you. No, 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 eggs are good for you. Bananas are bad because they have sugar. No, bananas are really good because it has potassium. Oh, you should work out one body part per time. No, you should train your full body at the whole time. You should do cardio before you do weight training. You should do weight training, build your strength, and then do your cardio. If you don't learn how to think critically and how to find answers for yourself, I would just hate to be you, because it is all going to be a very complicated world that you cannot navigate yourself through, so that would be, I think, the biggest lesson is, if, and I told this to, an intern recently here. I said, just take the time to just spend that time learning how to learn, learn the critical thinking, learn Socratic dialogue, learn to ask questions. When you ask those questions, ask questions about those questions. Make sure you're not using assumptions to answer any of those questions. Make sure that you're not kind of leaning in one direction. And it's hard to do. Even the most experienced person, in science will tell you it's really hard not to be biased towards whatever it is that you think the answer should be or is going to be, so but I can promise you, if people put in the time to really learn how to learn, don't learn facts. Okay. Facts are maybe a small part of it, but you have to go deeper than just those facts. And I'm not sure if I'm answering your question clearly, but I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say.
Yes, Jeff. It's critical thinking. Learn and learn and learn.
Yes, and everything will get easier from that. Everything from fitness to life in general, I think.
See, I want to make a follow-up on that, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to make your life as a book,
mm-hmm.
what will be the title of the book? And what kind of book it is?
Okay. Uh, how about embrace the new?
Embrace the new. Nice.
So and I think the book would be about challenging yourself, challenging your perspectives, challenging your environment, challenging your body physically, challenging everything that you think you know about yourself, breaking it down and challenging it and seeing how it grows outside of that. I mean, you can kind of break that up into relationships, to your environment, to your culture, to uh, anything that you feel may have added to the conditioning which has created what you perceive to be as you. Break it all down into its parts, challenge each and every one of them. Don't assume anything about anything, and see what the end result is. I kind of like to embrace the new,
Embrace the new.
so
And challenge yourself, right?
because when you do challenge yourself, you will have a new component to whatever it was that you thought you were at that point. You know what I mean? And then everything kind of springs anew there, and everything kind of springs anew there, and springs anew, and then it's kind of like putting together a puzzle, and you kind of put this piece together over here, and you put this piece together over here, and you put this piece together over here. It's all spread out all over your table, and your wife's getting mad because there's a mess and there's nowhere to put the food. And but over time, you get these pieces and you put them all together, and then so you're kind of looking at clouds over here. You're looking at like baseball gloves over here. You look at, and then so you put it all together, and all of a sudden you got this giant picture of Snoopy and Charlie Brown and Peanuts and the gang playing baseball, on a nice cloudy day. I'm not making any sense right now, am I? But I think you're probably
Jeff, you are. I think you just, because you're explaining it, you just want to make yourself clearer. And actually, with your answer, you made me think of asking another question that's related to that.
Okay.
So when did you find, not really, but when did you find your new you?
It's always a new me. There is no when. It's always a new me. So
you keep on reinventing yourself.
Always, always, always. Look at it this way. When you were 20 years old, were you the same person you were when you were 13?
Totally different.
Right. Now, when you were 27, were you the same person that you were when you were 20?
Totally different.
When you were 40, were you the same person you were when you were 27?
Totally different, Jeff.
I'm telling you, you're living life the right way. Anybody who is the same as they're going along is completely doing everything wrong. So I think you're always looking for a new you, or at least you're always looking for the experiences and the challenges and just that the living that life that is always making a new you. So sometimes it's like I'm 49 now. It's like, oh, you feel like you really know yourself. Okay, as you get older, you are knowing more and more and more about yourself. But I'm sure of the fact that however old I end up being, before I move along, I'll probably be a very different person with very different perspectives and maybe even different values than I have right now at 49.
Different and better, right, Jeff?
Different and better. And I definitely hope I continue changing and learning and, experiencing life through more wise, more experienced eyes, so.
With that, Jeff, what's the biggest decision you've made in your life that really made an impact of who you are?
The biggest decision? I'd like to think that everything that you become is a conglomerate of all the decisions you made and didn't make, so it would be easy. Like the first one that comes to mind was probably dropping out of university when I was almost done. I'd had
almost done. Jeff,
I was almost done. Yeah. Well, I thought I was going to be a cop. I was an administration of justice major, And
Oh,
I,
wow.
I, I learned this is not what I want to do. We would go on ride-alongs with police, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. My friends were cops, and I just didn't like the conversations you hear. I knew already it wasn't for me. So when you take that, and then I knew I wanted to be, I'm going to be responsible for myself. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to ever do an interview with somebody. I'm going to be doing the interviews. My mindset just completely just blew up and turned into something else. So it put a lot of pressure on me to work hard, keep learning. Quitting university changed me in that it put pressure on me to, I'm going to show everybody that I don't need to finish that, and I will make more money than them. I'll be more successful than them. I'm going to do a job that I actually love, and so I mean, that's a big part of it. I could say moving to Thailand and leaving my business back home, and starting completely afresh and anew in a completely new country and a new culture, and meeting my wife out here. But then all the decisions you don't make. I could have came to Thailand, and instead of just taking a break from everything, maybe I could have, started drinking every day and going hanging out in the red light district. And, those are decisions that I never made. But because I didn't make those decisions, it allowed for me to shape myself as who I am today. So I look at it all as kind of like a conglomerate of everything.
All the decisions you've made all throughout your life.
Yes, and then that's kind of where you're at now, so.
If there's
Again,
only
it feels
one,
like it might be being evasive of the question, but I hope I answered it all right. So.
yes, you answered the question. If there's only one advice you can give to everyone who's younger than you, what will be the advice?
Oh, one. Okay, the book I'm writing right now is actually 150 mini lessons for up and coming trainers to know. So because I couldn't pick one, I ended up with 150.
150.
Yeah. Gosh, that's hard. Okay. If I had to pick one lesson for people younger than me, I think I'd go right back to that learning. Learn about yourself, learn what you like. Don't do what others want you to do because they want you to do it. Be strong enough to follow whatever it is you want to do. Because people will think like, sometimes they could think that your methods are, off the wall a bit, and but it doesn't matter because it's your life. Do it the way you want to do it, no matter what kind of pressure you feel from the outside. And I realize it's so much easier said than done, and it doesn't sound like it's such a big thing, but I would say a lot of people truly do struggle with that, well, gosh, my parents have put so much into this. I should do what they want me to do, or I want, what my girlfriend wants me to do, so, it can be quite the powerful persuasion. You're following people like that, but how do you do that without knowing yourself first? So, and that's why maybe I kind of struggle with picking one, because it's everything kind of mends itself together, so but if I had to pick one, let's say
Know yourself.
know yourself, or even if you don't know yourself, keep consciously trying to learn about yourself. So to me, that's a horrible answer. I hate that answer.
No, I know a lot of people, they don't follow what they really want and listen to people around them, and they ended up like they're at a loss. They don't even know themselves.
Yeah, and again, I tend to be a critical thinker, so right away I started looking at, I know somebody, who they did do what they want. They didn't listen to anybody else. And what did they want? They want to sit and they want to play video games and smoke pot for 8 hours a day, and they got nowhere. So is it the best advice for everybody? Maybe absolutely not. Some people do need somebody to be sitting on top of them and saying, "Hey, come on, I expect more out of you. You should expect more out of yourself." So, so again, we're probably looking at a very individualistic approach again to everyone. What does this person here need to hear? What does this person here need to hear? So uh, yeah. Again, I feel very evasive with that answer.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you very much. How can people reach you? Like what are your Facebook account, website, and your books if they're interested to buy your books?
Okay. Well, I don't have a Facebook account, but my website is flashfitnessresults.com. Okay. So that's for the gym's website right there, which you can also find my email on there and email me through that if you like. The books are available on Amazon. So Habits and Hormone Solution is one of them. And the other one is Sculpting a Classic Physique, Techniques and Wisdom of the Men of the Pre-Steroid Era. Yeah, those are both on Amazon, so you can find them on there. And
another book is coming this year. What's the
Another
title?
book is coming this year. Actually, you know what? It's been spending the day on that, and it's at I was talking about like the puzzle. I had all that in my mind because that's kind of how it's feeling right now. It's all coming together. It's almost there. So yeah, I know you got a book that you're going to be kind of doing. So we'll have to talk about that too at some point.
Yes, we'll do.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me, Arnie. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm sure a lot of listeners learn a lot from you in terms of fitness. And I'm sure those three simple things that they can do: 6-minute leg work, eat eggs for breakfast. And the last one is just move.
Just move.
Don't sit there.
Do something.
Move, do something. Thank you very much, Jeff. And to everyone who listens, it's just been wonderful. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this particular episode, please share with your family and friends and learn more. Don't stop learning, because it's the best way to improve ourselves and develop ourselves. Learn, and learn. Thank you very much again,
Love it.
Jeff.
Thank you.
So
it's a
much.
pleasure. Everybody out there, have a good day and take care.
Take care.